Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Anyone in the autumn of their years pondering their mortality should take heart from the advice given by a tough old cattleman from Australia to his granddaughter in the United States. The secret to a long life, he counseled, was to sprinkle a pinch of gunpowder on her oatmeal every morning. The granddaughter followed this dictum religiously until her death at the venerable age of 103. She left behind 14 children, 30 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, 25 great-great-grandchildren, and a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot. Our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. Have a good one. Oh, thank you very much, Kate Smith, and God bless America on this October 21st. Boy, oh boy, is this month gone fast. 2013. I'm Zeb Bell with Zeb at the Ranch and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. And without further ado, we say hello to the lovely brunette over about 40 miles away at the main studios. Don't eat any gunpowder.
You know, I was thinking maybe I need to add that to my repertoire in the morning.
You could really raise havoc with the funeral home crematorium, couldn't you?
I loved it. I think that that's what I need to do.
You know,
so I can go out with a bang.
Yeah, no kidding. But, you know, here's the next question they're going to put on a questionnaire. How old are you? And do you have any medical problems? Have you ever used gunpowder?
Yes.
Yeah, and look out! Don't start the fire.
Oh, what a way to go!
Yeah,
what a way to go!
What a way to go! A good choice of words, right there.
Yes.
Do we have somebody on for the pledge?
We have Al on for the pledge and Michael on for the weather.
Very good, my dear friend Al Butler. Go ahead with the pledge, please.
Boy, old Granny left with a bang up there.
Yes, she did.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Real quick, Al, how's Polly doing?
She's doing great. And where did Green Bay get them uniforms?
Oh, no. Those are throwbacks. Those are the old throwbacks from back.
I say they're throwbacks.
Now, wait, actually, they should be throwaways. But they're throwbacks back to the originality of the Packer team when they were underneath the auspices of that meat packing company way back almost 100 years ago.
Well, they sure look funny, but what I'd really like to talk to you about first is I am thoroughly disgusted with some Boy Scout leaders do something like that in the national park.
We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I've got to get Michael on, but I promise, call back if you can. It's disgusting, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. All right, thanks, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, nobody does the weather better than this next man, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Good morning, Michael.
Hey, everybody, Michael Rogers. I'm going to keep this real simple, because not only is it going to be absolutely mostly sunny for today, it'll be absolutely mostly sunny till Wednesday of next week. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
That's it. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Oh, MichaelRogersWeather.com. I get a lot of compliments about the way Michael does a very precise and very good weather forecast right here on our program. We appreciate it. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, that reminds me, I got to get over there tomorrow or something, pick up my clothes. I've got a lot of clothes over there at Daryl's Cleaners. I suggest you take your old rumply-crumplies in there, and they'll come home looking brand spanking new. Whether it's your jeans, your Wrangler jeans, you want all that sharp crease in, or whether it's your sports shirts, ladies' dresses, whatever. And don't forget, now's a great time to get all those curtains, etc., ready for the holiday season, cleaned up, all the people coming over. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. One other quick note, I want to say thank you very much to SafeLink Internet. We have been on their service for years, as a matter of fact, here at Zeb at the Ranch. And, boy, I'll tell you what, there's no contracts, no to credit checks, no to high prices, and yes to unlimited data, yes to free installations. All you have to do is call them at 677-8000, 677-8000. Call Shane and the crew today, the best in high-speed wireless internet, SafeLink Internet. You call them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What are we teaching our kids? What are we teaching our kids when a Utah Boy Scout leader, toppled off an ancient rock formation in a state park at the Goblin Valley State Park in Utah? No difference than what would have happened over at Balanced Rock over by Castleford. I mean, why? Why? What are we teaching our kids? This Utah Boy Scout leader climbed up there and pushed it over to the cheers of the other Boy Scouts. These are Boy Scouts. They're supposed to have an honor system. They're supposed to have a pledge to really try to make this world a little better. And then a Boy Scout leader, along with actually two of them, do something so stupid and so insidious, and actually they should be sued. If there was a way to get the rock back up there, the two of them better figure it out and then use some Gorilla Glue to hold it in place or whatever. I mean, I know that sounds ridiculous, but what they did is asinine and dumb, and they should be fined and possibly even put in jail for wrecking something that was a beauty to the area. And it said in the paper this morning that the two of them, one guy's name is Glenn Taylor, the other one is David Hall, and they face possible, this is what the word makes me sick, possible charges over the October 11th of toppling of the rock formation in Goblin Valley State Park. Possible? Where is the backbone of the law and the judicial system? Go after these guys. Go after these guys and put them in prison or give them a hefty fine. They deserve it.
Wouldn't this be considered like vandalism of
Absolutely.
A park or a
Absolutely.
Park?
But, you know, when you have something like this, Gina, where the news media says facing possible charges, there shouldn't be any possible in there.
Well, it's kind of like we have to say alleged until they are actually proven guilty. We have to say alleged, so it's kind of like just a blanket term. But, you know, charges should be following, not... And I think that that's the way that they should word it. Charges will be coming. We just don't know what the charges are.
You know, and this formation, I understand, I have a couple of pictures here. Basically, not a lot of difference from Balanced Rock over in Castleford. Right. And, you know, some nitwit, somebody that has the brain power of a bicycle wheel, will do something similar, you can bet. There's a copycat syndrome of stupidity.
Well, and you know, my question is, okay, so the Boy Scout leader, what was he thinking? I mean, this is not something that the Boy Scouts promote, defacing.
Yeah, but you just said it. You just answered your own question. What was he thinking? He wasn't. Because he's a totally stupid, insane, very self-serving, selfish individual. You
would think, and this is just me talking, that maybe one of the other scouts probably would have raised his hand and said, Scout leader, Don't you think this is probably a bad idea?
Yeah, we don't think we're going to get a merit badge for this.
Yeah. So, it's really sad that this has happened, and I'm going to find that video and I'll post it up on your Facebook.
If you would, and then I'm going to ask you a favor too, because I get at least, and I'm not exaggerating, actually I'm kind of complaining, we get about 100 different stories in here every day. If I happen to overlook this on a follow-up, let me know if you would.
You got it.
Appreciate it. Okay, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's not forget our friends at Rain for Rent, 134 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul. Number to remember, 438-5065. And they, of course, have the Reinke Pivot Sales and Service. And great Reinke rebates for this fall. And by the way, also, they're going to have a drawing for a 40-inch flat-screen TV. Better get in there and get registered. I believe the drawing is going to take place, let me take a look here for a minute. I think it's today, October 21st, and we'll have the winner, so we'll let you know. But they've got the best of irrigation, the best of industrial services at Rain for Rent in Paul, 438-5065. Caller, I'll be right there with you, I promise. Stand by. I want to also remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And they throw the doors open at 7:30 in the morning, stay open till 5:30 Monday through Friday. And believe me, they know that spud farmers are really running around making sure everything gets wrapped up for harvest this fall. And they've got all the cords, the cord ends, the fuses for every piece of equipment that needs powers. Ramsey will have it for you, where they provide everything for over 57 years in business with warm winters and cool summers. That's Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, our dear friends. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. The thing I can't figure out is how these people that do these foolish things, like pushing the rock over, have somebody out there videoing them doing it, and then they put it on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
I don't know, Lorna. I don't know if these people are absolutely devoid of any brain power whatsoever, or if they're just so immune to what the law may or may not do as a ramification for their actions, and they don't care. Maybe they got a rich sugar daddy that basically is a big-time lawyer or something that says, I'll just buy the kid out of the trouble. I don't know, but to have a Boy Scout leader, two of them, act in this kind of a manner, I think charges should be brought. I think there should be charges not only for toppling the rock over, but for destruction of public property. There's all kinds of charges they could bring, and I hope these kids or leaders serve time in jail.
And for the example to those kids.
Yep, absolutely. I just think this is ludicrous. And you know, my dear lady, that some stupid person is going to be a copycat. Yes. God bless you. And we will see you at Lunch Bunch on Thursday.
Yes, we will.
Oh, God bless you, Lorna. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Don't forget Lunch Bunch at Perkins this Thursday at 11:30. Going to be great. Hey, caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. Gannot Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Scott Gannot is on the run. I mean, that guy, I hope he runs in marathons or something, because I've never seen him slow down out of a slow trot. I mean, he's running over here and running over there. He gets out of his pickup and he's already in a high lope, because they've got a list of people that want to get their sprinklers blown out before everything freezes and does some damage. So get a hold of him today, Scott Gannot Landscaping and Sprinkler Service at 150 South, 950 West of Paul, 431-8733, Gannot Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Oh, boy, here she is again.
I've got a couple of things here. And it come to me as I was listening to Obama and his wonderful, I am Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah.
Obama has the distinction of Commander-in-Chief of BS. And Val, let me tell you what BS is. Ain't Boy Scouts. And what's over your head, what's over your head is under God's feet.
Amen. You know, Helen, I always appreciate your remarks and everything, and I have been preparing for the program this morning. opportunity to sit and listen to the great fearless leader, but Obamacare is such a joke, such a debacle, such a mess, call it what you will, but you can't call it organized. This is indicative of this man's whole ideology and his administration. It's been a chaotic mess since he got elected for the first term.
Well, the thing about it is, there is not a word comes out of that man's mouth, and I'm using man very, very broadly, is BS. Everything is BS. You cannot believe a word that he says.
Well, I'm just afraid that when people really find out the nuts and bolts of how Obamacare was implemented and how a Canadian country, now let me just throw this at you, my dear Helen. Everybody's claiming, oh, we got to build America, we've got to build jobs, we've got to build the history again of America beating number one in the entire world. And then he goes out and hires, for the implementation of Obamacare on the internet, he hires a Canadian company that had some shady dealings in the past and didn't follow through on everything, and they pay them $635 million to get it started, and it's been a joke that nobody's laughing at.
Well, really and truly, when you stop and look back at him, what has he got to draw on except criminals and the shady side of everything?
I agree. I have nothing good to say about the man, and so I guess maybe we better just say goodbye. Helen, God bless you. Thank you.
You have a good day.
I will. Thank you. I love that lady. This is such a mess with Obamacare. And I ran into a Democrat Saturday, and I was talking to him. I was up in Homedale at a roping with my son. And he looked at me and he says, I know you're very conservative. And I thought, aha, here it comes. Hang on. And he's going to lower the boom on me and say how great Obama is and how great Obamacare is and how wonderful this administration has done and everything. And he looked me in the eye and he said, you know something? I am absolutely sickened by what this man has done to this country, what this man has done to be so divisive, and the idiocy of Obamacare. These are his words, not mine. And I looked at him and I said, well, you know something? It takes a pretty strong man to admit that he made a mistake and that his party made a mistake. And he said, absolutely. He said, this has been the worst nightmare that America could ever have. And that was from a Democrat. That, by the way, without alluding to his name and his situation, is also involved in politics up in the western part of our state. He basically said that Obama has been a disaster. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We can talk about the incompetency and the idiocy of these two Boy Scout leaders showing a complete disdain for rules, regulations, and our natural beauty in this country as they toppled over a rock down in Utah, and then they say in the paper they might face possible charges. Throw the bums in jail and let them sit there for a while on bread and water. Don't forget Valley-Wide Home and Ranch. Oh, my goodness, at 910 South Oneida in Rupert. The number to call, 436-0141. They've got all the Smart Lick tubs and the cattle lick box. They've got everything. Don't forget Smart Lick supplements over there for your cattle coming off the hill. And it's a great time to stock up on your dog and kitty cat food. Wintertime, your pets need to eat more to stay healthy in the cold. And they've got all your pine shavings for horse trailers and stalls, too, at Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those good folks today. Like some more calls, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your calls, in just a minute I'm going to talk to you about a book that I had the author on my program about 6-8 months ago. And everything that he wrote in that book that he had written and finished about a year and a half ago is starting to come true, and it's giving me a very uneasy feeling as to how this man wrote about the future of gun confiscation. Stand by. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 312-1525. 312-1525. Anthony and Tony, I should say Anthony and everybody over there are going to be serving you. Danny's there. Everybody will take care of you. New line of shells from ARE, and they've got many different models, from cab high to those you can raise up. And they got a great selection of used camper shells, too. Hey, let me tell you that you can save money and get the best. And you don't have to leave your valuables in the back of your pick-em-up truck, from hunting season, hunting equipment, fishing gear, saddles, blankets, everything. Stop at Save on Shells today. Save money. Get the best. I did at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Morning, Jeb. What is the difference of what that Boy Scout leader did and what Obama and Harry Reid has done to our country?
Well, they're in an act of destroying things that have been highly regarded and praised and honored in this country for a long time. So I guess there's the analogy. Obama's destroying our Constitution and our value system, and these Boy Scout leaders are doing the same.
So there's no difference there. So why should them leaders be punished where Obama's not?
I can't get into a conversation of trying to be fair and balanced when it comes to Obama. I can't. I've tried and I can't do it. I detest the man. I think he's evil. I think that his ideology is evil. I think it's hurtful for the value system of our country, our Constitution. I cannot go into a conversation with anybody and be fair and balanced, because I tell him right up front, I can't stand this man. He absolutely, to me, is the worst administration that's ever run this country.
And that's what I'm trying to get to, Zeb, that leader has followed the steps of our leader. So there's no difference there as far as I'm concerned. He is taking recourse of what his leader has showed him to do, tear things down, and that's what he's teaching his cowboys, his Boy Scout troop, is to tear things down and get away with it. So there's no difference as far as I'm concerned.
No, and I can't argue
what that Boy Scout leader did and what, not necessarily Obama, but Harry Reid. I detest Harry Reid because I don't know. He's more aggravating than what Obama is, as far as I'm concerned, because he's the one that is standing up and voicing what the Democrats want.
Well, and when you look at the whole Democratic Party right now, and I know we have some Democrats that are listening, and they're just right now mashing their teeth, and they're probably pulling their hair out and sitting in a fetal position, absolutely upset because we're talking about them and their platform. How can you abide by a platform that goes against the value of what our American military has fought and died for years? How can you support a platform that bends towards socialism and away from our Constitution? How can you support a platform that adheres to gay marriage? Or how can you support a platform with their feelings that, oh boy, the transgenders, the gays, and the lesbians are all a special people, they deserve special rights? How can you support a platform like that?
Because they're cut from the same cloth. They don't like what you and I are doing out here trying to make a living, because they're not making a living. They're standing up with their hand out saying, give me. And so they're backing the Democrats. You've seen it. Democrats stand together. They're all for one and one for all, whether Republicans or not.
I agree.
And I admire that Democrat that you talked to up there in Homedale, that he has finally decided that obviously this is not his party.
Yeah.
And maybe he'll come to the other side.
Well, you know, it was, I got to run and do a commercial here, but his verbiage was very succinct and very poignant when he said, you know, Zeb, I know what you're thinking. He says, because I'm a Democrat, I'm going to argue with you. And he says, no, I'm not. He says, as a matter of fact, Obama has been a disaster. And he absolutely had a very sorrowful tone to his voice and a very apologetic tone, because he said, anybody that absolutely can adhere to what this man is trying to do to America absolutely doesn't respect America.
I'm hoping that there's a lot more of them that come around and see that too. Thanks, Ed. Keep fired up.
All right. God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Hey, don't forget Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn with our good buddy Jim McCall. You better believe it. Number to call, 438-8730. That number again, 438-8730. Grease guns, tools, oils, everything. Clean your air filters, save you money, all your shop towels, everything. They got Bubba ropes. They've got all the, I think the Bubba ropes are there with the pink Bubba ropes right now at Travel Loop Supply in honor of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Travel Loop Supply, call them today, 438-8730. Right now, we're going to take a listen to the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to you by some really nice people at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, 678-2321. We'll be right back with more about them. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Southern Idaho will be home to 2 more large food companies in the near future. Frulact Group, a Portuguese-based fruit preparation company, has announced that it will open its first U.S. plant in Rupert, Idaho. And Cliff Bar, a California energy bar maker, said it will build a 300,000-square-foot bakery in Twin Falls, Idaho. The 2 new companies bring the total of ag-related companies that have held grand openings or announced the construction of new facilities in southern Idaho to 7 during the past year. Some of the other companies that have located or expanded in southern Idaho include Shabani, Glambia, and McCain. With the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Hannah Brous.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Don't forget Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, our sponsor of the Ag Minute. Call Pacific Steel and Recycling today. You know what? To schedule a free tour for your school, Cub Scout, Boy Scouts, 4-H group, everything, so they can learn about recycling and the job that they do at Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-2321. Really, really nice people over there. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this book. As I'm reading it, it's scaring me because it's coming true. Before we do that, though, and I'll take some more calls, Middlecoff Auto Body Shop. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a true story right here that happened to us. We had that very serious fire in my pickup this summer, and, boy, just about lost everything, and we had that pickup taken to Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop. Oh my, what a job they did. I'm very, very happy. 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard North in Twin Falls, and I don't care if it's an accident, fender bender, or like I had, a real serious fire. They get everything put back together, and they strive to make your vehicle repairs undetectable. They do a wonderful job. Call them today, 736-2490. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Really, really good people. This book, if you'll think back, the gentleman that wrote the book is a former United States Marine, and his name is Rob Olive. And the book is called Essential Liberty. Now, we had Rob on the air, and we were talking to him for a full segment one day. And Essential Liberty, it's a fiction story about really the truths that are going on in the United States with potential gun control and or gun confiscation. Hold on, caller. I'll be right there. And I just picked up the book the other day and started reading it. I'm so far behind. I've got literally on my bookshelf here of books and authors that have sent me their books. I'm behind about 21 books. And I'm trying to catch up so I can have repeats with some of the guests that we've had in the past. Well, I picked this book up and started reading it, and it's one of those books you can't put down. It's a fictional work around fact. And now with the United States and the UN having that treaty, the arms treaty, and the possibility, the very strong possibility of gun confiscation going on in this world, it just made a shiver creep up my backbone. We'll talk more in a moment. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. A little bit ago, Randy called in and said the Boy Scouts and the Obama administration were like the same, but there is a big difference. The Boy Scouts, when they went up there to have a good time, and they just seen an opportunity to do something that wasn't quite right, but they went ahead and did it.
No, whoa, stop. I got to stop you, my dear friend, because your verbiage was not right. It wasn't quite right. No, it wasn't right at all. It was a heinous crime, and those scout leaders and anybody else that helped them should be fined, prosecuted, and also serve some jail time.
Okay, but the difference I was trying to make was they didn't plan this months and months like the Obama administration has done to Obamacare and other things that they've done. They have hours and hours of time into that trying to destroy this country.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what's going on now with Obamacare, and there's so many words you could use about Obamacare and be actual and factual, but disaster is a word that comes to the forefront because people can't get involved. People aren't finding out what they can do or can't do or what they can have for products. It's just a disaster. And then the government looming over their head saying that if you don't sign up, you're going to pay a fine and the people can't get onto the program. This is an idiotic attempt to control the American people, and Obama is stepping all over himself trying to get this rectified, but his people were ill-prepared. His administration is ill-informed. They're a bunch of amateurs, and I'll stand behind that word.
Well, you're absolutely right. But the Obamacare, let's take the insurance companies, say not the large insurance companies. Insurance companies are risk management. Mm-hmm. Okay, if you have so many people sign up, then they can grow and get bigger and give you better benefits. If nobody signs up because of the expense, they will go broke.
You know, Keith, I honestly, I'm not going to sit here and say 100% sure that Obamacare will sink like the Titanic on its own. I'm not sure. I don't know what's going to be done. I don't know what kind of coercive activities behind the scenes Obama and his henchmen will do to try to re-implement a reflying of this program. I don't know. But I'm telling you, as it stands right now, I don't see how it's ever going to be effective, and I certainly don't see how it could ever stand on its own merits.
I'll tell you what's going to happen, because the insurance companies are going to back away from health insurance altogether, and they're just going to go out of the business, so the government will step in to the one-payer plan.
Yeah, that's scary.
Administered by the United States government.
You got it, my friend. I agree with you. I mean, there's no arbitration whatsoever. I'm scared to death of that. Keith, I agree with you. God bless you, man. Thanks for your call. Absolutely agree with him. I think that this is just going to tip us possibly into that single-payer system, and they're going to have complete control over all of us. That's what it is, 7-letter word, control. Just like in the gun control I was talking about. You know, folks, you laugh, and you say, well, that'll never happen in the United States of America. They'll never get my gun. I've got a bumper sticker that's on my back of my pick-em-up truck, and it says they'll never get my gun unless they pry it from my cold, dead hand. Maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe with the signing up on the treaty with the United Nations. Maybe. There's a lot of things to be concerned about. And right now, in the first part of the book, Essential Liberty, and if you get a chance to pick that book up, please go get it. But in the first part of the book, they talk about the American Family Protection Act. And I know this is fiction, but it's all put together by the government to say, oh, well, guns are dangerous, and we're going to make sure that all the guns are off the streets, and it's the Family Protection Act. And then they went to the media, the presidency at that time, which, think again, with Obama, and they're demonizing all the gun owners. These are bad people. Why, they don't need to have guns. Why, guns will hurt people and kill people. Why, these are bad. Gun owners absolutely should be demonized. They should be run out of town on a rail. That's happening too. That is happening now. And little by little, when you look at where we are, in a book that was fiction, basically, and it was written over a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, by this Mr. Rob Olive, and it's coming true. It's very, very scary. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Thursday, listen to me, we're going to have our grand prize drawing for cow pies and coffee cups. If you're not receiving cow pies and coffee cups, my newsletter that comes out every week, my weekly blog, you are missing on an opportunity to win a set of car tires from Tires West, Les Schwab, and Burley. A set of car tires, for heaven's sakes, and a $50 gift certificate to go to the Drift Inn at 545 F Street in Rupert. Why would you want to not pass? You can't pass that up. Get your names in right now. Go to zebbell.com and sign up. Your email address so you can get cow pies and coffee cups. Or send it to me at my email address. I'll put it on the list for you. zebbettheranch@hotmail.com. But sign up. I mean, Thursday we're going to have the drawing for a set of car tires from Tires West and then a gift certificate for dinner at the Drift Inn. Wow! Be sure and sign up. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, I also want to remind you we're drawing closer and closer to Halloween. And I'll tell you what, at Four Paws Bed and Bath, Kathy has fun over there. I think she's had a little bit too much free time, and she's got all this figured out to where you can ghoulify your pet, your dog or kitty cat. You can ghoulify them and have their hair colored in kind of a ghoulishly scary color for Halloween. And they've also got Halloween costumes for your dog and kitty cats that are 30% off. And Mondays are Munchie Mondays at Four Paws when all the treats are 15 to 25% off. And don't forget, too, they got all the Boise State and Idaho Vandal apparel, too, for your dogs and kitty cats. Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. And they got a big Halloween party coming up on October 26th. Don't miss it for your dogs and kitty cats at Four Paws. And the number, 438-4444. All right, let's get some calls in here. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What I'm going to do is have Rob Olive come back on the program in a couple of weeks. Maybe I'll get him set up, not this week, but next week, and have him come back on and talk about that book, Essential Liberty. But I'm going to finish the book here this week, and with my time frame of having to sit down and just read, and then draw some conclusions and make up a little ABCDEF chart and get him back on the air and talk about it. Very, very scary. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As we predicted, and it's coming true, some of the things that were covered up because of Obamacare's absolutely ridiculous grand opening, if you will, were covered up, one of them being Benghazi. Well, Benghazi is not going away, nor should it. The conceited attitude of this administration, the Obama administration, especially the biggest weasel that I have ever watched on television, Jay Carney, isn't that a despicable man that can stand up there in his horn-rimmed glasses and just basically lie his way and the president's way out of any situation? And I was appalled watching this the other day when Jay Carney was standing up at the lectern and giving answers to questions. Fox News asked the question, and it was James Rosen, and he wanted to know more about Benghazi, and when the president knew about warnings going out to all of our consulates, it was the day before 9/11, it was on 9/10. And he wanted to find out why action wasn't taken on those warnings of danger, and why something wasn't done. And Carney walked off the press conference. Jay Carney turned and walked away with a snide little comment against James Rosen because he was pressed to answer the question about why Obama did nothing. Ladies and gentlemen, these are American lives that were lost. And this administration and this weaselly little press secretary, Jay Carney, walks off the stage and won't answer them? Good Lord, help us all. I've got to ask Gina a question. Gina, are you right there? I think she... Okay. Question. I keep hearing occasionally some of the problem that we had earlier before we signed on this morning. Is the line coming through okay?
It's still a little bit staticky.
Do you want me to call back on another line starting the next hour?
Yes, please.
We'll do that. Okay. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Real fast, we're going to have a weather update with Michael Rogers Weather. We'll be back in just a moment. Here's Michael.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers. I'm going to keep this real simple because not only is it going to be absolutely mostly sunny for today, it'll be absolutely mostly sunny till Wednesday of next week. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
I appreciate it. MichaelRogersWeather.com. And by the way, too, I want to say every Thursday we have school days in Cassia County. And one of our great sponsors of school days in Cassia County is Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. For over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center of Burley has saved area families thousands and thousands of dollars as they've received outstanding medical care, such as with Dr. Ted Ray, board certified, and colonoscopy are saving lives. This gentleman, I know him, Ted Ray, has performed over hundreds and hundreds of colonoscopies, and he comes weekly to the Ambulatory Surgery Center in Burley. Dr. Ray, one of the very best. So remember, the number to call, 677-8888, 677-8888, Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. You know, no matter what the problem is, lately, and you can see this, you can follow this. The American public is being dumbed down and being told, oh, don't worry about it, that's the conservative right, they're just trying to make more smoke screens. That's the conservative right, they're trying to build mountains out of molehills. That's the conservative right, they're just trying to be troublemakers. And Americans are buying into this. Americans were told that Benghazi through Hillary Clinton was no big deal, and well, we can't change anything, so let's go forward. Just to step over it. The same thing with the IRS scandal and the First Amendment scandal and all the other scandals like Fast and Furious. And we as an American public should never, ever let these people control us and our minds so that we don't get the answers to what's going on. Never let the government basically tell you what you should know or what you shouldn't know. Never let the government fall into that position of power to where they dictate what they want to feed you and you will eat. That's the position we're in right now. That's the mess we're in with Benghazi. We don't know how serious this is because they won't be honest. We don't know everything that's in Obamacare because they haven't been honest. We don't know how devastating Fast and Furious was with running guns down to Mexico because they won't tell us. This is our government. The Constitution says we the people. And we're the last to know. If ever. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd sure like to hear from you. Let's see what else have we got. Oh, another state. Another state has fallen into the snake pit of allowing gay marriage. New Jersey. 14 states now, disgusting and deplorable, are going along with gay marriage and absolutely ruining, destroying, and stomping on the sanctity of marriage between a husband and a wife. And now New Jersey is next in line. It just makes my skin crawl to think that now we have 14 states allowing this filth to go on. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have to comment on this because Deanne mentioned this immediately after it happened the other day. First of all, I'll take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, Ed.
Yes, sir.
50, 60 years ago, I was a Boy Scout leader, believe it or not. Denton Derrickson was one of my boys. So was Bruce Newcomb. But anyway, I can't believe what happened. I thought them Boy Scout leaders were trained to respect the environment. I couldn't believe it when I read it in the paper that they would tip this rock over.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the reasoning behind that.
There doesn't have to be a reasoning for incompetency, idiocy, and just absolutely being stupid. You know that, Fred, more than most people, because you've led a life of where you've always tried to be an honorable citizen. But people just get dumb. People sometimes are coerced by their peers. But you said it best. Here's a couple of Boy Scout leaders. It wasn't the Boy Scouts themselves. It wasn't a couple of members from the troop just being kids. This was the two Boy Scout leaders, and I'll stand behind my statement. They should be prosecuted, they should be fined, and they should be imprisoned.
Well, they darn sure should be prosecuted. There's no question in my mind about that, because they was in a park. Why should they even think of doing that? That rock was standing on its own.
Well, why is it, Fred, that people, and you know this is true, people, whether it's up at the Palmerell ski lift, or whether it's in the South Hills, or whether it's up in Sun Valley, people just absolutely destroy things, whether it's burning up a picnic table, or whether it's carving huge initials into a door, or destroying outdoor restrooms. I don't understand. What is the matter with people that they can't appreciate what's there and appreciate what has been given to them to use, that they have to tear it up?
I can't understand their thinking. I just can't. I spent a lot of time in the hills, and I tried to respect what I seen and where I was, and I can't understand it. It's beyond me.
Well, I think
another thing I wanted to ask you, you was talking about good books.
Yes.
Have you ever read Unbroken by Lewis Hildebrandt's her last name?
No, I have not. I have not, no.
The life story of Lewis... Well, I can't remember his last name, but it's about a bombardier in World War II.
I see.
And that went down in the Pacific.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
And Zamperini's his last name.
Yes.
And there was three of them made it out. They drifted in a life raft for 1,000 miles into a Japanese-controlled island.
Oh, my.
And was taken into a prisoner of war camp.
Well, listen.
It tells his whole life story.
Oh, boy.
She's the same lady that wrote Seabiscuit.
Oh, well, listen, I got to get a commercial in here, Fred. I got to get Les Schwab in here, but I
haven't read it. I'm going to get you that book.
I would appreciate it. I really do want to read that book because I've heard about it in the past. But thank you for calling in this morning about the Boy Scouts and this lack of leadership. Buddy. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Let's not forget our friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness sakes. They've got a lot of good things going on with a huge tire sale right now. I mean, a big tire sale at all 7 locations. All the light truck and SUV tires like the Wildcat AT2 on sale. Light truck and SUV tire Terramax on sale. Passenger car tire Ultra Z900 on sale. Along with many of the custom wheels on sale. The best in brake service, the best in front end alignments, the best in shocks and struts, the best in batteries. Yes, sirree, don't miss it. You can save money and get the best at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got time for another call? Give us a jingle real quick, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to quickly get this in because it's a point that Deanne made. Did you notice, and did you wonder, how the government got all of the signs printed and distributed far and wide, including all the national parks and cemeteries, and overseas everything, in only about 8 to 10 hours after the government shut down. How? Did they have forewarning? Did they go and spend the money and millions of dollars for these signs, millions of dollars for shipment of these signs, millions of dollars for people to put these signs up? The government doesn't act in a very quick manner. And Deanne mentioned that. She said, hey, all these signs had to be printed. All these signs had to be done in certain verbiage for the certain locations. So they did this overnight? Good question. Millions of tax dollars were appropriated and spent in this process. And I would personally like to see the paper trail as to when these signs were ordered and when this order took effect. I think this is just plain cleaning it up a little bit. Hogwash. I don't trust this government. I know what, I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm an American. I'm a very conservative American. I can't trust this government. I cannot trust Obama. I can't. There's too many loose ends. The debacle with Obamacare just leads me every day to think that this man has absolutely done everything in his power to destroy the fabric of this country, America. I don't like this man. Somebody said to me the other day, how dare you? You've got to show respect for him. And why? Why do I have to show respect for this man? You earn respect. He has not earned respect from me. I don't trust him. I'm not going to sit here and falsely and mislead people about my feelings about him. I don't trust him. I don't trust his administration. I don't trust anything about him. And I honestly believe he'll go down in history as the worst president ever in the United States. I'm not going to lie to people. Oh, he's wonderful. Oh, my goodness, what a nice man. No, he's not. And I'm not going to perpetrate that thought. We're going to take a little break and come back with Frosty Woolridge next hour, and then also Michael Norton with the Alliance Defending Freedom. And as Gina so offered, I probably will call back in on another line. This one's a little bit shaky this morning, so we'll try another one, and I'll call back in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. I'll be back in 6. Don't go away.
Well, guess what? Here in Denver, he's done the same thing. When I see some of these, and so many of these athletes, they come in, they make $5 million a year or whatever, and then they drive their $180,000 Viper Dodges, or they buy these outlandish Ferraris and so forth, and they parade around, and all they do, they don't give back. They simply haul it in for themselves. Here's a selfless human being that's really an example of what America is all about. I'm just proud to know that the man stands for helping others. Man stands for just the quality of being an American citizen. So he's more than just a quarterback in the NFL. His legacy will help others and carry on well into the future. So it's just a proud moment. And yes, I watched him take off his helmet, and he acknowledged the crowd. And just first-class human being. That is Peyton Manning.
Yeah, there's something else, and this kind of got to me a little bit, Frosty, is that I was going through some of the archives of different things about Peyton Manning, and like you said, a true professional, and I found a picture that had been, I think it was back in 2008 when he was still with the Colts, and here's a guy that has won all the accolades of being possibly the best quarterback in the NFL, sitting at a bedside of a young boy that had leukemia in the hospital, and the boy had no hope of living, but Peyton Manning took the time to go up there and sit and counsel this young man, and I'm getting bubbly up right now because it takes a real individual that's not so concerned about time, money, and the press to go away from everything and help that young boy.
Yeah, well, and that's what he's doing here in Colorado since he's been here. My gosh, in this day and age, with everybody texting on the highways, being extraordinarily irresponsible, killing people on the highways, there's been a new NPR research showing that these kids today are addicted to their computers. They can't get off. They're into the games. They're into the violence. They're into all the other things. The parents that don't parent these children, you just name it. It's so refreshing that somebody like Peyton Manning exemplifies the human spirit, the quality citizen, giving back to our country, our civilization, and giving an example for these kids to look up to. And again, he does. He gives all these cancer kids some kind of hope, a moment of reprieve. I can't say enough for Peyton Manning. He's one of the men that I truly respect at the highest level in so many different areas. So, yeah, it gives me goosebumps the same way that we have Americans like this who are doing something with their blessings and helping others with their blessings and giving and making an example of what it's like to be a solid, first-class human being.
Absolutely. Frosty, stay tuned. Don't go away. 30 seconds. I'll be right back. When you think about life insurance, think about Cameron and Siemens, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. As a matter of fact, you should call them today. Let them help you. 436-4424. They can answer all your questions, and they're very responsive to your needs. Please contact the best, the professionals. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, the number 436-4424. Frosty, you just said something a moment ago that I think is indicative of exactly what's wrong with the Obama administration, and you summed it up very well in a football analogy. You said that you can't give up fumbles and interceptions and expect to win. Well, I thought immediately of the fumbles and the interceptions of Obamacare, and they still expect to win. That was a good analogy.
Yeah, and if you really look at what's happening with Obamacare, ladies and gentlemen, and the federal deficit, and I think there was an outstanding comment about the federal deficit that was made by Barack Obama. And he said it back in 2008. He said, the fact that we stand here today to debate raising America's debt, a sign of leadership failure. It is a sign that the U.S. government cannot pay its own bills. It's a sign that we now depend on ongoing assistance from foreign countries. And increasing America's debt weakens us domestically, internationally. Leadership means the buck stops here. And then he finally says America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership, and America deserves better. This was Senator Barack Obama back in 2008 or 7, I believe, March of 2007 or 8. And ladies and gentlemen, this president, this man, this senator out of Illinois, he jumped the federal debt from $13 trillion to now it's well over 16.5. No, excuse me. The debt went from 12 trillion to 16.5 trillion. He absolutely is a sign of leadership failure, as his own definition from back in 2007. And if you look at what Obamacare has been and is going to become, it is another horrific failure on the part of this man. And I keep sitting here thinking, how did he get to be president with so little, if no, experience, no background, no talent, no skills, no education? It is astounding that we have not only been duped by this man, but we also got duped twice. And I think there's an old saying about fool me once, fool me twice, and I'm an idiot myself. So we are getting what we did to ourselves. And the failure of leadership of Senator Barack Obama, now the President of the United States, defines that kind of failure at the highest level.
Well, and what was really spooky this weekend, this past couple of days, I happened to turn on the television set and watch as our debt clock went to over $17 trillion. It ticked away over $17 trillion this past couple of days. And I look at Obama, I look at Obamacare, I look at all the other scandals when Benghazi, I look at the scandals on the IRS scandal, I look at the scandal with the First Amendment rights, I look at the scandal with Fast and Furious, I look at everything about this man, and I can't respect him, will not respect him, and cannot wait for 2016 when he closes the door of the Oval Office for the last time.
It will be a celebration of the founding fathers, and certainly the Congress that voted for a term limit. I want everyone to know that Thomas Jefferson, in his wisdom and his disdain for government, especially the divine right of kings, and that's how we got the Declaration of Independence and certainly the U.S. Constitution. He wanted term limits, and thank goodness that after FDR slipped in for 4 terms and died in office, because power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I guarantee you this: if Barack Obama, in all of his incompetence, and you can take that one to the bank, in his incompetence, the Peter Principle personified, Barack Obama is in over his head, and that's been shown now in the last 5 years. He will be ushered out the door here in the next 3 years, and thank goodness the wisdom of the constitutional republic brought on by James Madison, whom I've read his biography. If it wasn't for James Madison, we wouldn't have this brilliant document, and we would have to put up with people like Barack Obama for much longer than we want. And so I am excited for 3 years from now, if we still have somewhat of a nation left that we can actually salvage.
Well, I'll tell you what I said. Now, I don't know if you had my latest copy of Cow Pies and Coffee Cups that just came out this weekend. And if you'll go to the center portion of the first story, I started talking about what Obama has now that he didn't have as much of just in the last couple of weeks. He has more of a power control over the Republicans and over Congress and over what he wants to achieve. You and I have talked about this as far as immigration reform, and absolutely, I'll stand up and be the first to say it, because I think you're going to agree with me. This moving to the front of the line over 11 million, close to 12 million illegal aliens into a possible citizenship is nothing more than buying 12 million votes for 2014.
If he gets away with it, ladies and gentlemen, again, I want you to understand the demographic figures. You can go to the Pew Research Center. You can go to the U.S. population projections by Fogel Martin at fairus.org. You're going to find that the Mexican tribe will become the dominant and new majority of America by 2042. Do the math on that, folks. That's, what, less than 3 decades from now? And what's going to happen is that, as you can imagine, once the new dominant tribe, and now the dominant tribe right now has been the European American tribe that created the Constitution and was 90% majority up until today, and up until 1965, when it then started into major decline because of Teddy Kennedy's Immigration Reform Act. There are something over 40 million people in this country that weren't even born here. But we added 100 million people from all over the world. So many of them don't have a clue who Thomas Jefferson was, don't even know or understand what a constitutional republic is. But we are the only country in recent memory that's completely changed the complete tribal makeup, the ethnic makeup of the country from one group into another totally different group that has proven, and let's face it, south of the Mexican border has proven to be a failed state. Mexico is a failed state, but all of the citizens of Mexico and that group of people will become the dominant majority population by 2042, and the European American will be the new minority. That's you and me, folks. It's going to be interesting how we're treated as the new minority, and will there be any kind of political correctness when we are the new minority and we are completely prejudiced against, if you will, all of the things that are complained about right now in this constitutional republic. It's going to be fascinating, but it's also, and here's the reason I bring this up. I'm reading Samuel Huntington's book, The Clash of Civilizations. Boy, oh boy, we are injecting all of this clash of civilizations right into our country right now, and most Americans don't have a clue as to what the consequences are as to this clash of civilizations, but I'm just going to read a little bit of it. It is my hypothesis that the fundamental source of conflict in this new world will not be primarily ideological or primarily economic. The great divisions among humankind and the dominating source of conflict will be cultural. Nation-states will remain the most powerful actors on the world affairs, but the principal conflicts of global politics will occur between nations and groups of different civilizations. The clash of civilizations will dominate global politics. The fault lines between civilizations will be the battle lines of the future, unquote. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we are injecting our own demise by importing all of these cultural and incompatible cultures and religions into our country so that we will be within ourselves, fighting among ourselves. And as a matter of fact, I wrote the book about it based on the speech by Governor Lamb back in 2003, How to Destroy America. Zeb, I am astounded at the speed of this. And in fact, there was a big story just this last week on all of the Muslim jihad training camps that are now being formed and are formed in our own country, and the federal government is completely ignoring them. It is terrifying that we have imported 7 million Muslims who, if had a chance tomorrow and were in the dominant group, would take the U.S. Constitution and vote themselves into Sharia law. That's what we're doing to ourselves. If that doesn't put a shudder down your spine, I don't know what will, but we have really created the seeds of our own destruction by this massive immigration to our country.
I tell you what I've done, Frosty, and I wish I'll pull out the tape, and I'll send you a copy of the tape. We had Martin Moyer, and he is the author of Twilight in America, and he did the in-depth study of these concentration and terror camps that are being constructed and run and utilized around the United States, very heavily in upstate New York, very heavily in Texas, very heavily in the state of Oregon, and other parts unknown. And our government is sitting back, quite frankly, with a do-nothing, say-nothing, act-nothing attitude, and I'm appalled by it. That's one major problem. And then, like I also said in Cow Pies and Coffee Cups this last week, to go along with what you're saying, whether it is our welfare system, employment, housing, education, or medical programs in this country, our infrastructure right now in this United States cannot absorb another 11 or 12 million people to be a part of those problems, whether it's employment, housing, education, medical, whatever. We are looking at a dead fish floating in the water, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah, well, let me correct you on this. You're just talking 12 million. Ladies and gentlemen, Zeb just hit the tip of the iceberg, or should I say the tip of the Titanic. We are on course right now to add 100 million third world immigrants into this country within 3 decades. It'll even go about faster. It will be accelerated by the new Senate 744 bill, the amnesty bill that you're talking about. If that thing passes, Bennett, my own U.S. Senator in Udall, but Bennett's the part of the Gang of 8, they jumped the legal immigration from 1 million per year to 2 million per year. So we will be importing somewhere around 225,000 third world immigrants every 30 days rather than the current 100,000 that are coming in. So this infrastructure that we face, the breakdown of our schools and all that goes with it will be accelerated by this amnesty bill. Your 12 million ain't going to be nothing compared to the 100 million that are going to be coming in legally and literally turn this country into a polyglot nation. It is frightening on every level because polyglot nations, all they do is fight among themselves. You can look at Lebanon. You can look at any and all of these multicultural countries, and they are at each other's throats. UK right now, Norway, Sweden burning all this summer, Holland, Belgium is turning into a Muslim caliphate, France is at its own throat with its millions of Muslims, and we are simply going to follow suit. And yet the American people, Zeb, that don't have a clue. because they just don't involve, they don't engage, and these 535 Congress critters just don't care.
Amen.
And or simply are more greedy for their own well-being right now rather than the country's future. And that's just the facts we face.
Amen. Boy, I hate to say that it's flat out of time this morning, Frosty. I've got to run, but we could go on and on and on. What we ought to do is co-write a book. We ought to co-write a book. We ought to sit down, and I'll look at it from the cowboy point of view, and you look at it through the high in the mountain air of Colorado point of view, and we'll see what we can do. Hey, listen, man, I'll look forward to next Monday. God bless you and your family. Take care.
Shall do. And again, to change course on this, capsweb.org, ladies and gentlemen, and numbersusa.org. For heaven's sakes, join these two organizations. It's free. You can make a difference. We can stop this massive immigration flooding of our country. You can stop Senate Bill 744. We must stop it for our children's sake. Thank you so much, Zeb.
God bless you, Frosty. Woolridge Gold in Colorado, one of my dearest friends. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget Burley Glass at 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley with my buddy Gentle Ben. Oh, my goodness, does that man and his crew know how to put windows in. They put the windows in my office, and bim, bam, boom, they're all done. And it was the best thing I ever did. Boy, I talk about, hold on just a second, everybody. I was choking to death there for a second. Pardon me. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley. Gentle Ben, they have the atrium windows, which can help increase the energy efficiency of your home 2 to 3 times. Oh, my goodness. Why heat the outside? Keep it nice and toasty inside for you. Working hard to provide great service to all the communities in Magic Valley. Burley Glass, 1029 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-1459. Also, I want to say thank you very much to Scow's CarQuest Centers. Boy, this has turned into a big deal. Every Wednesday we have In the Driver's Seat, presented by Scow's CarQuest Centers in Rupert, Burley, and Hayburn, and co-hosted by a very nice young man, Jeff Poole. We really look forward to that. Don't forget, for all your oil changes, to go from the warm summer oils to the colder winter oils, you better get all your oil right now over at Scow's. They've got some of the great deals that you can get right now, change with the season, and they've got the Castrol GTX conventional motor oils and all the oil you need, along with all the antifreeze, the Prestone or Prestone Dex Cool concentrates. They've got it all, including everything you need for your vehicles. Please remember, every detail matters. Every detail matters at Scow's. 3 locations, CarQuest in Rupert, CarQuest of Burley, and Scow's Truck Center in Hayburn. The very best at Scow's. We're going to get ready to go on the phone line right now in just a minute and talk to our Alliance Defending Freedom people, and I just really look forward to having them every week on our program. Before we get to that point, I want to just also remind you, as I'm still choking to death, pardon me, all the mattresses you need for your sleeping comfort are over at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And they've got a great big closeout on all the mattresses, no interest for 15 months on approved credit. Stop in and check out all the Simmons Beauty Rest True Energy Memory Foam beds. They've got them all, adjustable beds, starting at just $14.99. Everything for your sleeping comfort. Where? At Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see Brent Lee and his crew today at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. Right now, let's go to the phone lines and welcome in a gentleman that I hope I can say his name right. I'm choking to death here on the program. And we're going to welcome in Michael Norton, Senior Counsel for the Alliance Defending Freedom. And Michael, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. God bless you. I hope that you recover from that fit you were just having. It's an honor to be on your show.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you, my friend. Whatever that little fly was, he didn't taste that bad going down. Anyway, it's really a treat to have you back, and you're always so efficient and proficient in explaining everything. What in the world is going on with the state of Colorado illegally, through their lawmakers, funding abortions with taxpayers' money? You talk about illegal and illicit, but they're doing it anyway. Why?
Well, this is a long, long story, Zeb, that goes back actually about 40 years. Well, not quite that long, to 1984, when Colorado taxpayers approved an amendment to the Colorado Constitution that prohibits the expenditure of public dollars, taxpayer dollars, to support directly or indirectly abortion. 2 years later, in 1986, efforts were made to repeal that constitutional amendment, and the Colorado voters voted it down. So since 1984, the law of the state of Colorado has been that taxpayer dollars may not be used to either directly or indirectly support abortion. Well, that amendment had been ignored for quite a long period of time until a new administration came into office in 1998-2000, and the then director of the Department of Public Health and Environment, Jane Norton, who is a close personal friend of mine and to whom I'm fortunate enough to be married, I say in the interest of full disclosure, chose to rely upon that amendment as the law of the land. And she found that Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains had both abortion activities and family planning activities all under one roof. In other words, Planned Parenthood was using state funds, public funds, to subsidize either directly or indirectly abortion. Well, she concluded that that was wrong, contrary to the Constitution and the amendment that the voters had passed, and refused to repeal a couple of years later. And she directed Planned Parenthood to either divest itself of its abortion activities or set up totally separate freestanding corporations, offices, facilities, doctors, personnel, staff, etc., so that there would not be any indirect subsidy of abortion using public taxpayer dollars. Planned Parenthood refused to do that, and she took steps to defund them in 2001. Well, a few years later, the administration changed again, and a Democrat administration that is more pro-abortion came back into power. And once again, they returned and restored funds to the Planned Parenthood entity, which had taken no steps, no efforts to change its organization, its structure. And so here we are back once again with lawmakers giving a favored client special treatment that is not warranted either by law or, in this case, by the Constitution of the state of Colorado.
Mike, I hope you don't mind if I call you Mike, but I'm just sitting here and I'm just aghast that the arrogancy and the lawlessness of these lawmakers, basically with an in-your-face attitude, hey, we're going to do it anyway, whether you like it or not. Hey, we're going to do it anyway, even if it is against the law. Just go ahead and try to stop us. That's the attitude that the Colorado lawmakers have?
That very definitely, I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Zeb, but it very definitely seems to be the attitude, not only in Colorado, but throughout the country. The recent government shutdown was as after the Congress approved the increasing of the debt limit and the shutdown was ended, was most heartily praised by Planned Parenthood Federation of America because it enabled federal funds to continue to flow towards Planned Parenthood, and it is so filled with misinformation and deceit. Its leading sponsors at the federal level announced a victory so that Planned Parenthood could continue performing mammograms for women who needed mammograms performed. Well, that is just false. Planned Parenthood does not perform mammograms and not even eligible or authorized to do so. To do so would be against the law, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. So there is so much disinformation and so much favoritism in favor of Planned Parenthood, whether it's good for federal taxpayers, whether it's good for the country, whether it's good for the unborn, whether it's good for mothers or not, and Planned Parenthood's bottom line interest is what is concerning to it, not the health and welfare and safety of women.
Why, in your opinion, and you're probably the best versed to answer this, why is there such an absolute bond with the Planned Parenthood organization, with especially this current administration?
Well, I liken this current national administration to what I would characterize as Chicago-style politics. It's the idea where the administration rewards its friends, goes out of its way to reward its friends, and one of its greatest friends and supporters, both financially and otherwise, is Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood contributed over $14 million to liberal candidate political campaigns in this last election. That's in the federal level, and countless more dollars at the state level, and punishes its enemies. And its enemies are those who do not support abortion, that think abortion is morally wrong, that think that life is innately precious, created in God's image and begins at conception.
You know, I think I have to ask this now. The $14 million in taxpayer dollars that the state's given to Rocky Mountain Planned Parenthood, is that a total figure or is it a per annum figure? Or also, will Planned Parenthood have to pay this money back to the state with interest?
Those are all good questions. The $14 million dates back to 2009, the state fiscal year beginning July 1 of 2009 forward, and continues so far as we know to this date. And those are amounts that were dispersed only by two state agencies, the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, the organization that Jane Norton once headed up, that determined that these kinds of distributions were wrong and contrary to the Constitution, and another agency called the Colorado Department of Health Care Policy and Financing that runs the state's Medicaid and Medicare programs. There are other agencies that have given smaller dollar amounts to Planned Parenthood, but they are collective amounts since 2009 rolling forward, and so far as we know, they continue today. Now, the sense of this lawsuit and the result, if we were to succeed, would be to cause Rocky Mountain Planned Parenthood to have to refund or restore those monies to the federal taxpayer, because Planned Parenthood knew it hadn't done anything different, knew it continued to receive funds improperly and frankly unlawfully from the state of Colorado, and therefore should be held accountable and required to reimburse or refund those monies to the state taxpayers who wrongfully were called upon to fund that organization.
What about the lawmakers themselves? What about the people that were put in office to uphold the value system of the state of Colorado, and they broke the law? What about them? Is there any way you can go after them on a civil action or whatever to make them pay for basically ignoring what the law said?
I haven't discovered a way as yet to do that, other than to go, than to become deeply involved in the political process and select candidates who will uphold the law, who share values that are consistent with the values that we've just discussed. That has not happened in this nation for a period of time, and I think in Colorado as well. And I think it is about time that we change that.
Well, I'll tell you what, just another insidious story about Planned Parenthood. I will do all I can to shed light on their very sinister activities. Michael Norton with Alliance Defending Freedom, always on the air with interesting stories about what they're doing with Alliance Defending Freedom. And if people want to keep up on your group, how do they find you? What do they do, Mike?
Well, the very best way to do that is to go to our website, www.alliancedefendingfreedom.org, and you can find out all about these cases, including about how to support Alliance Defending Freedom. We are a nonprofit Christian legal organization that advocates for the right of people to freely live out their faith, and we do the very best we can to support religious liberty, sanctity of life, and marriage and the family. And so we need people's prayers, and we need also consideration for people's gifts and support to keep us going and keep us being able to do battle on things just like we've been talking about. And thank you, Zeb, for all of your support and hard work in these areas as well.
You're very welcome. And before I let you go, I noticed we have a caller with a quick question. Caller, real fast, please. Go ahead, please.
Yes, the other night I went to a meeting and they were talking about nullification on the Obamacare. Now, I know this isn't necessarily, on the subject, but in a way it is, because if Colorado can disregard rules in one way, can the people not do the same thing with Obamacare? And if enough states just say, force us to buy this, would it work? And I'll hang up. Thanks.
Michael, would you like to respond to that, please?
Sure, if I can. That's a very difficult and complex question, and of course, during the course of the last month or so, as the Congress and the President battled over the debt limit, some members of the Congress did the best they could to defund or deactivate Obamacare. That did not succeed, and I think it's going to be a difficult battle in the Congress, because you have a Senate that's controlled by Harry Reid, who is joined at the hip, it seems, with President Obama, and Obama would be vetoing any legislative effort to either repeal or defund Planned Parenthood. So that's going to be a difficult effort. So I think we have to pick these efforts off on a state-by-state basis, and there are quite a number of lawsuits that are ongoing now. For example, ADF has I think 10 or 11 lawsuits going whereby we are challenging the so-called HHS abortion pill mandate for secular for-profit Christian businesses, for non-profit Christian colleges and organizations, and Christian book distributors and dealers, and a whole range of. There are over 70 such lawsuits around the country right now, and of course we expect the Supreme Court to take several of these cases during this current term, and we ultimately are very hopeful for the overturning of that HHS abortion pill mandate. There are a number of challenges to provisions of Obamacare in various parts of the country, including whether or not the Internal Revenue Service has the right to enforce penalties against private businesses in states that do not have state-authorized exchanges. It's a very complex area, and there are lots of work and lots of areas and lots of activities underway to chip away at Obamacare, and, of course, getting more and more members of Congress who would be willing to take the stands that were taken a couple of weeks ago would, I think, be even more useful.
Absolutely.
So it's a strong and it's a very important issue, a very difficult question that was asked, but something that needs a lot of work, a lot of effort, and probably most of all, a lot of prayer.
Amen. Amen. Michael Norton, Senior Counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom, just an absolutely great gentleman to have on our program. God's blessings to you and your wife. Have a great day, and I'll look forward to having you back on.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It's amazing. It's amazing how people connected with politics, people that we ask to represent us in state legislatures or on the national scene, whatever, they just basically thumb their nose at the law, thumb their nose at the people that put them in office and say, we're going to do it anyway. And they, in Colorado, illegally gave $14 million of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood, and they got caught. Time for a weather update. The weather update this hour is brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps with our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And right now, here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers. I'm going to keep this real simple, because not only is it going to be absolutely mostly sunny for today, it'll be absolutely mostly sunny till Wednesday of next week. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
He's gone. Thank you, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Lennox Home Comfort Systems bringing us the weather, and, of course, right here locally with our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, I'll be right with you. Don't go away, I promise. Want to remind everybody they're closed on Mondays, but they'll be open tomorrow. Let's ride Highway 24 in Rupert. Absolutely the place to go where the fun is sold. They've got all the new snowmobiles. They've got all the 2014 ATVs. And don't forget, they've got the greatest in service over there with the best guys in the service and parts department, anywhere, anytime. Great people. Tuesday through Saturday, they're open 9 to 6, and that's Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, where the fun is sold. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Jeff.
Sir.
I just go over there to Gina, and me and her were talking, and I told her, see if she could find that Paul Harvey edition in 1965, 1966 about If I Were the Devil. You get that and you listen to it and see if he isn't right spot on the money for what's going on today.
I may have the verbiage on that someplace in my file.
I just emailed you the YouTube link, so
okay.
Jan has it.
Great. I appreciate it, Gina. Al will take care of it, and we'll try to get it on the air. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Appreciate it, buddy. Thank you much. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind you that this Thursday is Lunch Bunch Day. I need you there. I need you there, folks. Our second lunch bunch at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley. And at Perkins, they believe in being best buds with your taste buds. All the pies, all the cakes, all the cookies, all the muffins, everything they make in their delicious bakery, let alone what they make for delicious breakfast and lunch and the sandwiches, everything fantastic at Perkins. And we're looking forward to being there. And I want to tell you a little bit about their Halloween pumpkin carving contest. Check it out. and go online and find out more at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley. Tomorrow we'll be telling you all about this, how you might win first, second, and third place at Perkins with their pumpkin carving contest. So you stay tuned. Don't forget Thursday, Lunch Bunch Day at Perkins. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I want to thank you for having Dr. Michael Ritz on your program last Thursday. He gave a great presentation on what we need to do, because the federal government's not going to do anything, and so we need to just hammer on our state legislators and say, we've got to nullify this thing. And under states' rights, we have that constitutional Madison and Jefferson. They made different rulings back then, and why can't we do it now? So it's been used out through history to nullify Obamacare, because obviously Simpson doesn't have any backbone to stand up against the establishment back there. He needs to be replaced, but we need to work on these state legislators to get this thing nullified at the state level. And the other comment, because he was a doctor, you bring up Colorado and their marijuana. Now, the medical marijuana, where they take it by the pill for pain, that, basically that works pretty well. But when they smoke the stuff, it's been causing a lot of bipolar disorder. And so it's on rapid increase for these people that are smoking the marijuana and destroying lives, really. Even young people are getting hooked on it. And it doesn't take much after a few joints of marijuana to just take another joint, and it refreshes it's not like most drugs where you have to take more and more to get a high. Marijuana, you get a high once, and it just takes a little bit of a update to do that. So he was a very intelligent man. I gave him kind of a tour of the Magic Valley. He was really impressed with the area, and he was half German, half Chickasaw Indian. And so, boy, he laid it on there as far as what we need to do, and he was successful, and the Oklahoma legislatures had to, nullify Obamacare in their House of Representatives.
Well, I appreciate your call. He was a very interesting gentleman to have on the air, and anything or everything I can do to try to tip the train of Obamacare off the tracks, I will. God bless you, Adrian. Appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Have a great day.
You bet. Thank you.
Bye.
There's so much going on in our country right now. There's so much being thrown at us. You turn on the newscast and just be objective and write down notes. I'll turn on a newscast, regardless of whether it's CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox News, whatever, and I have a notepad right next to the channel changer. And what I do is I'll take a certain story, and then I'll try to follow up on another network and see what they're saying about it, etc. And it's amazing how we are being duped and led by the nose over so many things in this country. And I want to revert back to what I said last hour. I want to go back to Benghazi just for a moment. When I sat there and was watching the news conference with presidential spokesman Jay Carney last week, and James Rosen of Fox News asked a very poignant question in regards to the timeline of if the Obama administration had been notified the day before. They found memos that said they were notified the day before about very dangerous and present action that might be taken the next day on 911. What did they do to try to defer the problem, or did they do anything? And I'm giving you a synopsis of the question, but then it was Jay Carney that turned it around against the questioner, and when that didn't work, Jay Carney indignantly walked off the podium and canceled the rest of the news conference. This is our presidential administration. These are the people that work for us. We do not work for them. I keep stressing that. If they are our employees. And with that indignant action by Jay Carney, I personally would like to fire him and have him be a out of work, possibly in the very near future, homeless person. His attitude was deplorable. His attitude was such that I'm better than you, I'm holier than you are, I am Obama's right-hand man, and you, how dare you, little news reporter, ask me questions that might paint me into a corner. Ladies and gentlemen, do you not see this? Do you not see this? That we the people are losing our freedoms, we're losing our rights, we're losing our country to these people that think they're better than we are. Look at Colorado. Their legislature defies the law and allocates $14 million to go to Planned Parenthood for specifically abortions. It's against the law. But the lawmakers did it anyway because they thought they were better than the people that voted them into office. There's no difference as to what's going on with Obamacare. There's no difference in the cover-ups of Fast and Furious. There's no difference in the cover-up of Benghazi and the cover-up of the IRS scandal and the cover-up of the First Amendment rights. They're not being honest with us, and we're the employers. And to be very blunt, every damn one of them should be fired. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget A Child's World. Absolutely one of our great sponsors for school days in Cassia County. And I thank them very much for all they do. And by the way, you can shop online. All you have to do is go to achildsworldinburley.com and check it out. Now, this week, October 21st through the 26th, is their annual Christmas sale in October. 25% off all toys, books, puzzles, games, everything this week. And they've got the best in quality. The very best in quality for you and your family. Don't forget, great big Christmas sale in October this week at A Child's World. 1308 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We haven't had a chance to say hello to Gina yet, and I want to just quickly do that. Gina, you're a young mom, single parent, and we'll take this call in a minute. Caller, don't go away. Gina, give me a short action. Aren't you absolutely appalled that the people that work for us basically thumb their nose at you and me and do it their way?
Yeah, especially when I'm the one and you're the one paying the bills, so they should be doing things our way.
Well, I'm the one that pays the bills for this program. I own this program.
Yep.
And to have somebody come on the program, whether as a host or whatever, and basically tell me they're going to do it their way, they can take the longest walk off a short pier. They'll never come back here again. Yep, and it's the same way with the radio station. Kim Lee owns the radio station per se. Yep. How dare the employees turn around and say, oh, we're just going to do it our way. The heck with the owner. That's what government is doing to us today.
Exactly, and we're not happy about it, and that's why we need to stand up and, be vocal. Don't be afraid. You and I have the power of voice, but we need everybody else to have their own power of voice and to use it.
Absolutely. Caller, quickly, I've only got a short time left, and go ahead with your comment.
Yeah. On another subject, Ben, they've got to get our guns as a hallmark of a dictatorship, and so the UN, a memo that was supposedly classified, and, of course, is about the confiscation of our private firearms, and it's a document. I emailed it to you this morning, so take a look at that. It's pretty scary stuff. It came from a good source. And, of course, Snoops.com says it's just made up, but Snoops is run by George Soros, so you know how you can trust that. So, anyway, take a look at that. The United Nations has a plan to help implement, even with foreign troops, to take our guns. It's pretty scary, folks.
It is absolutely scary, and I'll tell you what, there's so much falling into place right now. Thank you for your call back. I do appreciate it. God bless.
Oh, you got it. Bye.
Last week, I made a very bad mistake, and I'm not above admitting a mistake. I mean, I got broad shoulders, and last Wednesday, I had inadvertently booked two different entities for the same program, and I had the Times News editorial staff on our program, and it was very nice to have them come out. But then when they were all seated at their chairs around the microphones, in walked the Incredible Hulk in the form of Kelton Hatch with the Idaho Fishing Game, and it was entirely my fault. And I want to say this before we get him on next hour. Please accept my humble apology. That's the first time I've ever messed up as far as having a double booking on the program, and so basically, I'm sorry.
You hurt my feelings.
I forgot to turn your mic on. Go ahead and try it again.
You hurt my feelings. I went home and cried. I'm joking.
For some reason, I had a hard time swallowing that pill. No, but I am sorry, and I just look forward to you coming in and damaging my cords to my microphones and everything. And
I'm just glad you got more. You got knives over here now for me to play.
That is the worst thing I could have left over there on the table, because those are all giveaways. Leave them alone.
I love knives.
I know you do, but leave mine alone, please. They're custom made with Zeb at the Ranch, and they're for winners of contests.
Rock on.
Yeah.
Looks like for a good steak.
Ladies and gentlemen, needless to say, you know who's here next hour. Kelton Hash, Idaho Fit and Game. Fish and Game, Kelton Hash.
Mr.
See
Fit.
what you do with me every week? You mess it up. I'll see you in about 6 minutes. Don't go away. All right.
So you gotta buy a new one?
Good morning. Welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday morning. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And they've got a big tire sale going on right now. And then also, don't forget your Magic Valley, some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. And our friends at Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Call them. Get on the route service, 734-6969. As I stated, I'm sorry, I overlooked Kelton Hatch on the calendar and double booked last week.
That's
and
tough to do, is overlook me.
Yes, it is. But due to the fact that you've kept rubbing it in since last week, anytime you get a chance, how are you, sir?
You know, grand. Things are going great. I love this time of year. Been having a ball. Got my kids out and done a little hunting.
Have you got anything?
You know, no. We haven't. Well, I've got a lot of birds. Took my youngest son. He shot his first deer last year, and I took him out this year, and he's got a buck tag. He's pretty excited, and we got a little 3-point buck out there at about 120 yards, and he was just shaking like a leaf on a tree, and all leveled out and shot just about an inch underneath it and hit a rock, and the deer jumped up in the air, and he was all excited because he thought he'd hit it, and he missed it clean. But he had, and it took him on the youth pheasant hunt, and we've just been having a lot of fun. I mean,
good for you.
The bird numbers seem to be up for the birds we've been chasing. Pheasants look a little bit down from what I've been talking to folks, because the opening weekend was this weekend, but I took him on the youth hunt. So, but it's just a great time of year. It's almost too nice a weather, Zeb.
It is. It is because I can't argue that.
You get out there and
spoiled.
It is. I was out there. It hit about 11 o'clock on Saturday, and all I wanted to do is lay down and take a nap.
Kelton, this is not news, because the last time you were on the program, you were up hunting and you fell asleep under a tree.
My kid didn't think that was too cool. He wanted to go look for deer, and I'm sitting here going,
Have you been to a doctor? Have you been to a doctor and maybe checked for maybe something that's not in your system that should be?
Me
like
ambition.
Maybe blood?
No. It's just so relaxing up there. When it's 55, 60 degrees, the sun's out. It's just like, man,
I can just imagine some hunter from back in New York City seeing your great big corpse laying underneath a tree going, I've hit the mother lode!
It's Sasquatch. No. But no, it's what a wonderful time of year.
It is.
Get out there, waterfowl. Talk to a bunch of kids from out here in Murtaugh. They've just been having a ball chasing geese and ducks.
There's a lot of them.
Yep, a lot of birds have moved in. Actually saw Snowy the other day in the middle of a flock of Canadians.
You can tell this you can tell this man works with animals and birds a lot.
There you go. There you go. So, but good time of year. Get out there and have some fun.
No, it is. But be careful.
Oh, you bet. You need to be careful. There's always that inherent risk when you're out there. But
what are you playing with over there?
Yeah, 2 squishy balls that you wrote on that I'm not going to read.
Okay.
They're Mitsubishi
Let's
Electric.
go right now to the Hunter check stations.
Okay. I was going to talk about that. Things have been going really good. Not this Saturday, but the week before. We had 100 check stations. We had them at Timmerman, Gooding, Mountain Home. The weekend before that, we had them in Shoshone Basin and Rock Creek. Harvest is really up this year.
I see.
We actually had almost a 25% harvest success on our general hunt in Unit 43 this year. Lots of deer came through. We checked close to 80 deer just at the Timmerman station on Sunday. And I know that Mountain Home, they checked over 150 deer on Sunday.
Ooh.
And so we had a lot of deer come through. Everything's up.
Quite a bit from last year.
Oh, everything's up. At least 1 to 5%. So harvest success has been tremendous this year. We have been, one interesting thing, we just got a lot of anecdotal type information from these check stations because we don't get a large enough sample size to really understand, but it looks like deer fat is down a little bit this year.
Why would that be?
Dry conditions.
Oh.
We had that hot, dry summer, and so that's always a concerning thing, you know, when it's anecdotal, like I said. We don't know exactly what kind of condition they are until we start trapping deer later on and weighing the fawns and stuff. But from the things we're seeing at the check stations, it looks like they could be down a little bit. It was also kind of interesting to see the number of 2.5-year-old deer that were 2 points. Typically, our 2.5-year-old deer are multiple pointed bucks by 3 or 4, 3x3s or 2x3s or 3x4s or little 4x4 bucks, but a lot of them were just forkhorns, even as 2.5-year-old deer. And so that's another sign that, it was probably a tougher summer than we thought it was on deer. But, a lot of the mature deer that came through the check stations were big, fat, heavy, looking in pretty good conditions. The ones that typically these hot, dry summers are rougher on are the younger.
I want to talk to you a little bit. I'm going to go over to the handwritten notes on the paper you gave me. Youth hunting clinic. What's about?
Oh, we had a youth pheasant clinic this last weekend. It was a great deal. We have a piece of property. It's an Access Yes property. And for folks that don't know what Access Yes is those super tags that we have drawings for. The money raised from that goes to the Access Yes program, where we purchase access to private property to let people go on. Well, this is a piece of Access Yes property that's only good for kids. It's only a youth property.
Do you sit there and regulate it and mandate it or look at it? Or
we take the kids out. I mean, you can, if like Zeb, if your grandkid came over and you wanted to go pheasant hunting, you could go in there, go to our Access Yes guide, say, oh, this is a good spot. It's got duck hunting, it's got pheasants, and it's for kids only. So
it's on your website.
It's on a book that we have.
Oh, you got a book?
It's a book that we print off. It's a magazine we print out every year on the Access Yes properties. We got
Kelton Takes You Hunting.
No, it's Brad Lowell.
Oh.
He's our landowner sportsman's coordinator that goes and organizes all these properties, and we got several dozen, probably close to 100 pieces of private property in the Magic Valley. It's the largest program in the state where you can just go to that book. I actually went Thursday. I went sharptail hunting over in the Rockland Valley because our boundary goes clear to the Rockland Highway that goes down to Holbrook and west.
You get a lot of chances in your job to go out and really not work too hard, don't you?
Well, I took a day off.
Oh, many days off. Yeah, sleeping.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Well, you got to enjoy it.
But that was a youth hunting clinic.
But that was a youth hunting clinic. We had about 22 kids that showed up at that. They each got pheasants. They learned how to. Jerome was over there cooking pheasants for them.
Jerome was cooking?
He was cook. He's cooked.
Is he pretty good?
Yeah, he's listening, so he is.
Everybody's still alive?
Yeah, everybody's still alive. Most of the parents that bring their kids, they just end up loving it because the kids get to work with we work with the Magic Valley Dog Group. They bring their pointing dogs out. They take the kids out hunting. Each of the kids shoot their birds. They come back. They learn to field dress them. We prepare some of the birds so that they can taste it and find out how to eat, cook it, to eat it. And then we also have Randy Smith, our wildlife biologist. He gives a nice little biology lesson on pheasants and what it takes for a pheasant to live.
You guys are really into this. You do a great job.
Well, I appreciate that. We need to get you out there.
I wish you could. But, of course, I've been promised to go fishing for 17 years.
We took you fishing with electric shock.
Yeah, you're always going to hedge on this. McGargle had said fishing, not fishing with an electric.
That's McGargle.
I said McGargan.
I know.
Yeah.
I'll get all. I keep bugging him.
He's going to die or else go on a pension plan before I get to go
That's
fishing.
That's probably true. I'll give him some grief. He needs to get you out right now because fishing is going
I heard that. Hey, a serious note, though, Keldon. One of the subjects that you and I have talked about for years on this program that makes me mad, and I know it's upsetting to a lot of people, poaching cases.
Oh.
This makes me sick.
Well, this is the time of year that it drives me nuts because you have folks come through. The phone just rings off the hook this time of year.
Yeah,
well, we was up in the hills and we found this deer carcass and the back straps are all that was removed.
Oh, man.
Or, we have some places up around Sun Valley that and people can look at this two ways. It's our opportunity to shoot a deer, and if we leave parts of the animal near the road and somebody else runs into it, oh well, but we get a lot of calls and complaints from the folks that are non-hunters in the Sun Valley area that are out jogging or running their dogs, and they find parts and pieces of deer that have been discarded, even if it's not meat products. But the two that we have had two just recently, we had a 4x5 elk that was found in Devil's Creek Canyon off the John Boyd Draw Road over in 46. That's over by Grassy Hills, going over towards the Jarbidge over in there. We found that on October 10th. It was shot and just completely left. We don't know whether left. We don't know whether it was there's a general deer hunt over there. We kind of think that it may have been a misidentification of target.
Wait a minute. How do you mistake an elk for a deer?
Happens every year. Every year. We've had it happen in the South Hills. We've had it happen almost in, people just don't, they get excited, get buck fever, see antlers, small branched antler bull, start shooting, realize, wow, that's a really big deer when they get up to it.
There's a case for identifying your target a lot better.
It is. And then we had another one, we had a pronghorn antelope that was shot, doe, that was shot and left over in the Cassia County area. It was, I'm trying to remember which unit it was in Malta, near Malta, in Unit 57. There's no hunt over there. Somebody shot and just left a pronghorn.
Just left the whole thing later.
Left the whole thing, and we don't really understand that, but if anybody has any information on these, they are eligible for CAP rewards, Citizens Against Poaching rewards. Yeah, a lot of times they'll double the reward. It's going to be between $250 to $500 reward if it leads to the conviction of these people. And so give us a holler. You can call us at the office at
324-4359.
That's really good.
You didn't think that I'd remember.
I knew you did. That's why I pointed at you.
Yeah.
And then our CAP, it's 1-800-632-5999.
Do you find this problem of poaching, do you find it that it's one that you're never going to curtail? There's always going to be the scum hunters out there that do this?
Yes. It's going to be. It's a plague that we suffer with every year. A lot of people believe, just through different studies, that close to you could be a quarter to half again as many animals as we harvest legally, or shot and left or poached.
So people just basically shoot the game and waste the game and let it lay.
Yeah, sometimes.
Just basically nothing more than target practice.
Sometimes we get it like that. Sometimes, there's a lot of different ideas that poachers will have. Some people, they'll shoot them, pull the back straps out of them. Other people will shoot them and leave them and then come back later and claim the antlers. Because that way it's just a dead animal that they find a nice rack on.
Yeah.
And we've had that happen in the past, and so...
what is the law on that? You can't do it.
It's illegal. Yeah, because it's willful waste of animals. And you're not supposed to pick up the antlers or horns on any animal that wasn't killed naturally.
Yes.
It's, and so if it dies from a bullet wound, it's not a natural death.
Absolutely not.
And so, so you can pull over and pick up antlers off animals that are killed on the roadways and things like that. But the hard part is when the carcass is all gone and you find a dead animal there, what killed it? It's hard to determine, and so people do claim
Have you personally ever caught a poacher?
Yes.
You have?
Just actually last week.
Really? Give me without, specifics or anything. I don't want to. But what's their attitude?
I felt It's really different. The thing is I hate giving citations myself.
Yeah, but you must love giving it to these guys.
You know, the guy I ended up last week, I was just out working an area, and he thought he was hunting a general unit, and he was hunting in Unit 47, which is a controlled hunt unit.
Some kind of mistaken place?
It was a mistaken place. Really cordial, just a nice guy, apologetic. The hard part is he was in the wrong. He should have read the regulations. He should have known. And so you have to do things like that, because he had harvested a deer illegally in a unit that takes a controlled hunt tag that people apply for, and it's a 1 in 25 opportunity to draw that permit in that area.
Did you believe him that it was a mistake?
I do. But I give people the benefit of the doubt, like most of the folks do around there, because there's accidents like that do happen, but you still have to satisfy the law.
What about catching somebody that has the arrogancy of "I don't care"? That's tough attitude.
You see, those are really easy. Press hard, 5 copies.
Have you ever had that happen?
Yes, I have. And that was when I was actually outfitting, and I had people that had came in, and I called the Fish and Game, and they came over, and the guy was just so belligerent and ignorant. It was actually really nice.
Out-of-stater?
No, he was actually a resident of the area. A lot of times our out-of-staters are some of our... They fill in an opportunity to come to the state to hunt. They don't have these opportunities in their state. There's some bad apples and everywhere, but for most of the time, the non-residents that I contact and I work with, I was on the phone this morning with 2 different hunters that are coming in from out of state. They feel very fortunate to be able to come to a state like Idaho and be able to hunt this much public land and enjoy this much natural resource, because, you think of folks coming out of California, Utah, you may not draw a good elk tag in 15 years down there.
Yeah.
It's not an opportunity to hunt that much. A lot of people really feel, and they've got a lot of money invested, a lot of these non-residents. Between gas just getting here for $500, and $600 in tags and food. They're a couple, $3,000 into a hunt just coming up here and having fun. A lot of times they're pretty cordial about that.
But when you get a person that is, like you said earlier, belligerent and absolutely doesn't care, he's going to be his way or no way, you have every right as a legal authority of the law to take whatever measures you must to subdue this person and take him in, right?
Well, to a point. It is poaching an animal, it's not murder. And so if the situation gets too ugly with me, I just gather the pertinent evidence that I need, and then license plate numbers, names, and if it's getting too out of control and stuff like that, we can always go talk to them at their house later on, because we've got all the basic information we need there. I'm not going to go out there and, get in a wrestling match over a deer.
Mm-hmm.
But my job also isn't being a full-time officer. I'm not a full-time officer, but our officers are the same way.
I was going to say, they do have the training and also the legal rights to act as a law enforcement officer.
They are. They are. They go through. They're all post-certified.
Yes.
They go through the same stuff. They have the exact same abilities as any of our ISP or county police and everything like that. Plus, they also have usually a master's or a bachelor's degree in wildlife management.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm very honest about this, and you and I have talked about it in the past. I have no time for people that would go out and poach, like that story up in Soda Springs, I think it was, where they had stuffed like 100 carcasses of Canadian geese in a dumpster. Just to go out and shoot and kill, I find nothing that I wouldn't do to try to arrest those people.
There's it's just baffling sometimes to me. But all crime, even non-wildlife crime, is really baffling. It just takes a different type of personality to be able to do something so malice to something that has life and waste it.
And you've already seen it this year in this season.
Oh, yeah, and we've already seen it. We'll see it all throughout the season. I really would ask people to keep their eyes open. If you see something that looks a little hinky, give us a holler.
All right.
call Cap. If you want to remain anonymous, you can. But the thing is this is your wildlife. This is the people of Idaho's wildlife, and we're just hired to enforce those laws and try to protect that wildlife for you for the future.
Kelton Hatch with the Idaho Fish and Game. Calls are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley, and they've got the best luncheon specials in town Monday through Friday for just $5.95. Oh my! And then from 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Thursday, the Senior Citizen Dinner Special, just $5.95. Listen to this tonight: beef stroganoff with garlic toast, soup, and salad. It's delicious at the Chadwick Sports Grill. Stop in and see them today. The atmosphere warm and beautiful, really nice people at the Chadwick Sports Grill in Burley. Okay. You've got on this sheet that says commonly asked questions. What pistols are legal in a short-range weapon hunt? Now, I'm going to make the assumption that if somebody has a .357, they want to use that for deer hunting. Is it legal?
It is. It is. And the funny thing about this is a couple of years ago, the commission actually passed that you could use handguns in short-range weapon hunts. It has to be a straight-walled case. I bet the reason I put that question on there because I bet I've answered it 15 times this fall. Because on the other side of on Unit 53 on the west side of the Prime Bridge is a short-range weapon hunt, and people want to take their handguns down there. You can take it if it's like a Thompson Contender that has a necked case, like for 7mm or 8 or something like that. You cannot use that handgun. You also can't, like if you got a .44 mag, you can use that for the short-range weapon, but they make a rifle that shoots the .357, the .44, the .454 Casull, the .45 long Colt ammunition. That is a pistol cartridge, but you cannot shoot it out of a rifle because the barrel's longer, you get higher velocities, therefore it's not a short-range weapon anymore. The thing that keeps it a short-range weapon is because you got a shorter barrel, you have less powder burn, so you don't get the velocities that you get in a 22-inch barrel out of a 6-inch barrel. And so that's, I'm just kind of trying to clear that up because a lot of your listeners are hunters. If you're talking to folks, you can use handguns. Has to be a straight-walled case.
Okay. All right. What about, now I have a question here. Show my naivete. You have shot and wounded the animal, and you go up and use a pistol to put it out of its misery.
Completely fine.
It is fine.
As long as it's not a .22.
Okay, why not a .22?
You see, the thing is the letter of the law is you cannot use a rimfire cartridge for harvesting big game animals other than wolves and mountain lions.
But that's not really the harvesting, quote-unquote, of the animal,
I know.
Is it? I'm not trying to be...
I know. I guess I'm just saying the letter of the law, if the deer's out there, they just don't want people taking their .22 rifles and trying to shoot a deer in a field.
I see.
And so it's just, if we're going straight down the line, black and white, you shouldn't use a rimfire cartridge to dispatch.
Okay.
But you can use a handgun.
Okay. We've got to take a break here in a minute, but before we take that break, you heard, of course, about my cow pies and coffee cups. My weekly newsletter. You get it?
You do.
Okay. Well, did you get your name in the contest?
I didn't.
Why?
Well, because you just give me one.
I'm not going to give you a set of car tires. For heaven's sakes, you got to subscribe. This week, we're giving our grand prize away. We've given a prize every week in October. This week, we're giving a set of car tires from Tires West in Burley, Les Schwab, and a $50 gift certificate to the Drift Inn.
How long do I
would say till probably the end of this program. I'll put your name in there with your email address.
I'll get her done.
And, folks, we're not going to cheat. He's going to do it like everybody else does, and he's not going to put Scotch tape on it so it sticks to our fingers when we draw.
Hairspray.
Leave the knives alone, please. Don't play with the knives. I got to give those away.
I really want the tires.
Put the knife back in the box. But anyway, I'll have you do that, and we want to thank Tires West in Burley. Just Randy's a super guy. Do you know Randy over there at Tires West?
I haven't had the opportunity.
Boy, I'll tell you, just a great guy, providing the tires for our giveaway from Les Schwab's Tires West, and then Drift In, 545 F Street in Rupert, providing the dinner for two with a $50 gift certificate. certificate.
That's a good deal.
There you go. We're going to take a little break and send it back over to Gene at our main studios for the bottom of the hour, and funeral announcements. We'll be back. We'll be back with more with Kelton Hatch, and I got more questions for him in just a few moments.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587.
Got to pay for gas.
And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, welcome back. Why is my microphone not working all of a sudden? What happened here? Kelton? Oh.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, that died all of a sudden there, didn't it? My goodness sakes. You're on, I'm on, everybody's on. We're all tickled to death. But again, we want to remind everybody, get your names in for the drawing, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups drawing on Thursday, and you might be the lucky winner of a set of tires from Tires West Les Schwab and a $50 gift certificate from the Drift Inn in Rupert. Caller, real quick, your question. Go ahead, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Is it not legal to use a .22 in other states as well? Is that a federal law, or is that only here? Because years ago when I was ranching in Montana, all I had was a single-shot .22 that I dispatched most of my antelope and deer, and the game warden never questioned me.
I will ask, and we'll answer that right on the air.
Up and listen.
Thank you very much. How about other states?
All states pretty much are the same with the rimfire cartridge. I mean, if the animal's hit and down on the ground, nobody's really going to say anything. Again, but when you're looking at the letter of the law, rimfire cartridges are only allowed for big game animals on mountain lions and wolves.
Okay.
And the reason that is because typically the mountain lion's in a tree with hounds under it, and so it's a good close shot, and wolves are typically in traps. When they're dispatched. And a lot of trappers use .22s so that it doesn't destroy the pelts and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so that's the reason that those two big game animals are okay.
All right. When you do get a game animal, whether it's an elk or a deer or whatever, do you have to leave evidence of the sex of the animal?
You do. And a lot of times we had a lot of checks on this last weekend. Even if an officer checks you in the field and the head's attached, when it's in the field and he knows that it's a buck or a doe, you still have to leave, part of a testicle, or you need to leave part of the udder on the does, or cows, and you can skin the hair off and just leave, part of the udder underneath, or things like that. But it has to be attached to a quarter when you're packing it out. And I just want folks to know that you please do that. I mean, it's not that. It's not going to taint the meat in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
But leave that attached to the animal.
If a person is up as a muzzleloader or a bow hunter, do you need a stamp for short-range weapon hunts?
Okay. This is another question. Short-range weapon hunts, we get a lot of questions on them, especially for the muzzleloader and around populated areas. If you are hunting in a short-range weapon hunt, you do not have to have an archery permit or a muzzleloader stamp. The only time you have to have the muzzleloader stamp is when you're in a muzzleloader only hunt.
I see.
Or if you're in an archery only hunt, then you have to go in and get your archery permit or your muzzleloader permit.
Okay.
So you don't have to have those for the general weapons hunt.
All right. Now, here's a question I was going to ask myself, as a matter of fact, because this happened years ago with Jake. Can a dad take his son's deer to the butcher without the boy going with him?
You can, if you have the documentation.
Aha.
And what you have to have...
I never even thought about that.
Yeah. If you're transporting anybody's game animal...
You have to have the documentation.
You have to have the documentation, and all that is basically a piece of paper saying, I, Zeb Bell, give Kelton Hatch permission to transport my deer to his home or to the butcher.
Has it always been that way?
It has. You have to leave, and then you write down your license number.
Wow.
On that piece of paper, you sign it, and then as long as the tag's attached to the carcass of the animal. That's another question we always get is they'll separate the antlers from the body.
Yeah. Before they go to the butcher?
Before they go, where do I put the tag?
Aha. I would...
Where would you put it?
I put it on the leg or the hoof.
You put it on the largest portion of the animal, on the body. Okay. And so a lot of people wrap it to the antlers because they don't want to be caught walking around the bloody set of antlers, that you can tell was harvested this year.
Sure.
But you do need to leave that tag attached to the carcass.
Okay. What are general deer units?
Okay, general deer units. Every year, general deer units are units that are non-controlled, that you and I can just buy a regular deer tag.
And anybody can go.
And anybody can go hunt those units. It's either going to be a short-range weapon or any weapon or archery only, different units like that.
They have that over by Sublet, don't they?
We do. That's a general unit.
Yeah.
46 out here, out in the Berger, and that country is a general unit, 48, 49, 43. We got a lot of general units around here. Know your general units, know their date. I just talked to a guy today that was planning on coming and hunting Sublet, Unit 56, which is a general unit, but he wanted to hunt it this coming weekend. The only problem is it closes on the 24th.
Oh, which is Thursday.
Yeah. So it would have been a really good hunt because he had been the only one out there.
Yeah.
But
maybe not.
Yeah. So definitely check your regs. Know what unit you're in. It's really simple. But go through those are the main questions or the main conflicts we run into with sportsmen this time of year, because I love seeing people get out and go hunting. Just try to educate yourself. If you have any questions, call us at the office. That's what I do half the day, or other staff is doing, is talking to folks about the rules, regs, places to go, and things like that. So give us a holler.
Bird hunting, we were talking about, this sheet was prepared last week for the program before I double booked, and he has pheasants open this Saturday. Well, that meant a week ago Saturday. How is the pheasant season so far?
It didn't sound very good.
Really? Why?
Numbers seem to be really down. It's really interesting because our rough grouse, our sharp-tail, our sage grouse, all the data we have from that look like really good hatches. Our pheasants just didn't fare very well, and I don't know whether it's because it was so dry and hot or what was going on, but it was really spotty on the number of pheasants that people were getting. I had a friend that he went out to Oakley on some family land out there, and they had a bunch of them. They harvested one bird out of about 8 people, and he's got good dogs.
Really?
And they missed a couple, and then another friend, there were some birds killed. Some people got a lot luckier, but pheasant numbers seem to be down just a bit this year. There's always those opportunities to go hunt the WMAs. The biggest thing that landowners can do to help this is, leave some cover. I know it's tough because everybody's trying to make. You've got to make money on a farm.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise.
Yeah, you've been on both sides of the fence.
I have. If you got a little place, so you don't mind having a few weeds, it makes really good pheasant cover. I usually go to farmers like myself that have lots of fence rows. If you got livestock, you're going to have weeds around, ditch banks, and my dad always said, if you take care of the weeds on the edge of the field, you don't have to worry about them in the middle of the field.
There you go.
And so, doesn't make the best habitat for chickens, though, for pheasants. So things are down just a little bit on that. The other birds have been doing really well. Sharp-tail, sage grouse season was tremendous.
Now, wait a minute. Let's talk about sage grouse. You know my feelings about that.
I do.
And I felt, and I said it again in all seriousness, I don't think there should have been a season.
And there's a lot of people that are feeling that way. And I think that we may see some changes in that. We definitely will.
To the stoppage?
To the stoppage. We could. It just depends on what happens, and I think it's 2 years.
So you said it was really good, so
we had just a tremendous hatch this year.
But wait a minute. What you're saying, though, is that it's not as endangered as the federal boys want us to be led to believe.
What they're looking at, there's a lot of sage grouse.
Well, if there's a lot of them, then why are we suffering this way?
Because there's only half as many as there was, or less. There's only half or a third as many sage grouse as there was 10 to 15 years ago.
I'm not buying all this.
Well, the way that we do this, Zeb, is on these, and I know it's tough to.
You can't blame people for being a little bit negative about this.
I cannot. I see it from both sides. I really do. The thing that we base a lot of our information on is LEC data. That's the breeding grounds. We've got hundreds and hundreds of maps with locations of these leks. So what happens on these leks is the males get out there and strut. They dance around trying to find a date.
Mm-hmm. I heard about you in that newspaper story at Utah State University years ago.
Yes, well, it's probably true. But the numbers on these leks and the number of leks, like last year I went out and ran some old leks that we hadn't been able to survey for a few years. There was 0 birds on any of those leks. I hit 5 or 6 different leks. There was no birds on those. Granted, some of those leks may have moved to other locations, and some of those birds, but we also have other traditional leks that have been there for 30 years, and there's still birds there. We've also had some catastrophic fires, and we've definitely seen in those areas, I really hold the hope myself that as these fires regenerate, that we're going to see more good sagebrush habitat come up that is going to be more sustaining for sage grouse, because I think some of our stands have got old and decadent and don't provide the nutrients.
But after all that's said and done, and everything you just said about maybe helping to increase habitat and everything, and the fires were,
I think they were
terrible and very, very serious and detrimental to the health of the sage grouse. But then the environmentalists always quickly point their finger and say, "Well, we got to stop ranching, we got to stop the grazing and everything else." And I think they take kind of a knee-jerk reaction to stopping everything when people are trying to make the birds survive.
The biggest thing that I think the biggest concern, was talking to Jerome about this the other day, was out patrolling, talking to sportsmen and stuff. In some of the areas, when you're going along the edge of a road and things like that, some of these areas you really see they're pounded. They're dusting areas for cattle. They come into these corners by fences. And when people drive by that, there's no understory for sage grouse, for nesting habitat. A lot of times when you get walking out across that range and starting to look around, everything's not pounded out like it is by the gate.
That's exactly right.
The hard part is those places by salt licks, those places along the edge of the roads, those places near water holes and stuff that are so pounded out. Sometimes that gets painted as, and then there is the occasion when you see these fields that are just really wiped out, where there's overgrazed, tops of the sagebrush have been eaten off, and there's not much habitat left. Those are the ones they kind of point fingers out. I think there's still a lot of really good stuff out there. I know, like up on our association, we have implemented our own cutbacks on dry years, getting cattle out of certain areas. We've got full-time cowboys that ride 40, 50 hours a week, moving cattle from field to field, it's 130,000 acre cattle range, and they push them off the riparian zones and up onto the side.
It's called management.
It is. We've got great sage grouse. We've got good cattle grazing, and things can happen like that. But it's just everybody working together to get
and that's what I think has to be done instead of just all of a sudden slamming the door.
I agree, and I think it has to come from both sides. I think we have to have,
but it seems like the other side is a one size fits all. No,
it's tough. I know it's tough because you see what's going on. I mean, I've been in a ranching family that's been on the same piece of dirt for 130 years.
Really?
I understand how tied to the land we are on that. And so sometimes that's really difficult. And I think there's a happy medium where everybody can be happy and we can be successful. But we've just got to have everybody work together on it.
Amen. Got to have the weather real quick with MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you this hour by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps with our friends Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Here's Michael.
Hey everybody, Michael Rogers. I'm going to keep this real simple because not only is it going to be absolutely mostly sunny for today, it'll be absolutely mostly sunny till Wednesday of next week. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Available through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. We're running short on time. Waterfowl. I want to talk about that.
Okay, waterfowl has been tremendous for the folks that have gone out. I've been talking to a lot of folks, and they've just been having a ball. A lot of ducks in the area, good nesting survival.
Myrtle Lake is ducks and geese all over the place over there.
It seems like quite a few folks out there hitting them, too.
Yeah, kaboom, kaboom.
Kaboom, kaboom. Yeah. Lots of folks out there. But almost every pond in the area has been doing pretty good. I know a lot of people that have done really well out at Strike, as well as all along the Snake River and down into Walcott and those areas. And those spots out at Walcott are going to be open because the federal government's back into business. And so you can get down there and do a little bit of hunting, too.
Okay. Salmon Falls Walleye Survey. I heard a story from about 3 or 4 different fishermen here about a week ago. They said the walleye are almost jumping in the boat.
They are. They're starving.
Are you kidding me?
This is kind of anecdotal, and so don't take it for complete gospel, but the basic thing, I mean, we don't know exactly what's going on with that population until we get all the numbers crunched. But this last week, Doug and Scott were down there, and they had
so Doug went fishing.
He did, with gill nets.
So wait a minute, I want to get this correct.
He doesn't use a fishing pole.
Doug McGargle went fishing.
With a net.
With a net. But it's okay for him to go fishing with a net, and I don't get invited after 7 years of having the initial asking.
Yeah, we could have taken you down there. We could use you a weight on the end of the net.
Thanks a lot, Kelvin.
But they catch these fish, they open them up, they take pull the fats out of them, weigh the fats, weigh the size of the fish to see what type of overall body health they're in. A lot of our fish were down on fat. There's a lot of small fish.
So why would there be less feeding material for the walleye this year?
Well, there again, it's speculative right now, but I'm guessing back to when we had the first downturn in the economy, and all these fish hatcheries around here were selling trout all over the world, and all of a sudden trout sales from all these different facilities went really down the toilet. They had to get rid of their fish. They gave us thousands and thousands and thousands of trout that we dumped in Salmon Falls Creek and other area reservoirs.
So trout are a predator of walleyes?
Forage for walleyes.
Aha.
And so now you had this bump in the fish production of walleye, lots of food, lots and lots of food, so they had large schools of baby fish.
Yeah.
And they pretty much eaten themselves out of house and home, and now they don't have a lot of fat. The perch numbers were down, the forage fish numbers were down, and the walleye are kind of skinny.
Really?
Kind of makes us nervous because we
kind of a Nutrisystems for walleye.
It is. They're calling them cigars. They're long and skinny.
Really?
And so,
holy cow.
But people are just tearing them up right now, and the best thing you can do for a walleye.
So when they see a worm, it's kind of like a mass attack.
It is. You better not stick your finger in there.
Really?
and so, yeah, fishing is just.
Do they have any size to them?
They're pan friable.
Really?
They're the size you want to eat. I mean, the 10-pounders are fun to catch. The 15-pounders are fun to catch. But you get an ounce of mercury. I'm joking, but no, the size, the best eating ones are those 12 to 18 inchers, and that's what there's lots of.
Holy cow! It says here other fishing opportunities. What do you mean?
This time of year is just.
When does the season close?
A lot of our streams don't close anymore. We don't. It's not like it was in the old days when it opened, Memorial Day weekend and closed Labor Day. Now most of our seasons are year round. We do have a few bodies of water that I don't know because not off the top of my head, but that do close. Some of those are up in the Sun Valley area and things like that.
What's the biggest fish you ever caught?
Myself?
Yeah. That's what I'm sitting in the studio.
240-pound halibut.
Are you kidding?
No.
Just for the halibut?
Just for the halibut. I didn't eat it. They're not
240-pound halibut? Where'd you catch that?
Up in Alaska.
Really?
I used to work out of there. I caught a lot of king salmons. And
how long did it take you to land it in the boat?
That one, I had a broomstick fishing pole with a big 100-pound line on it.
What do you mean broomstick?
Well, they're shaped like a broomstick, They're not a lot of play. We were just, we was out in the harvest mood. Yeah. We weren't playing
240-pound halibut.
And so it was a fun fish. It took almost 15, 20 minutes to get in the boat.
Really?
And
did they put up quite a fight?
They'll make 2 or 3 runs on you. It's kind of like I like to always explain them. It's kind of pulling a car hood off the bottom of the lake. Because they're big and flat, and then all of a sudden it just dives.
Really?
And they'll make 2 or 3 big runs on you.
Really?
And so, but they're not spectacular. My favorite fish probably to catch is, I like trout. I love catching cutthroat because they're so aggressive and they fight really well. But I enjoy fishing when there's not hunting. But that's why I'm not a very good fall fisherman, because there's hunting season going on. But for true fishermen...
Be honest, though, you're overlooking a fact. It's a lot easier to sleep like you do fishing than it is hunting.
No, because it's cold on the water, typically. On the side of a mountain underneath a warm rock, you know, with the sun ain't baking down on you.
Oh, you sound like Smokey Bear. But anyway, right now the opportunities are such that fishing is great.
Fishing's great. The water temperatures are cooling down. Fish are foraging, trying to get that fat on them for winter.
Yeah.
They're aggressive. Everybody that typically fishes in the summer is out hunting, or half of them are, and so the pressures on the streams are less, and all the kids are in school, so get out and do some fishing. I mean, I haven't had a bad report from anywhere.
I would be amiss if I let you go and didn't ask about the wolves. What's the scuttle on the wolves?
You know, we haven't had a lot of wolf harvest this fall.
Why?
You know, we just haven't had... We removed a ton of wolves ourselves this year. We had a lot of depredations. I'm trying to remember the exact number. I think it was around 26 or 28 wolves that we killed out of the Sun Valley area that had been eating sheep and cattle and stuff like that. So that reduces the opportunity for hunters when you take that many out of the population.
What is the number? 300 they can take?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the number. I mean, it's an unlimited hunt. And so we did have a 96-pounder brought through the Gooding check station. Somebody shot in the Fairfield Valley. And that's the only one that I know of this fall in our region. But I haven't been... I've taken a few days off myself and been out doing some hunting. And so I haven't checked the numbers.
Have you seen one?
I haven't. Not this fall. But I've been doing most of my hunting down south and in farmers' fields chasing birds and stuff like that.
I see.
So.
I honestly am a believer they're up here because I swear I saw one of the tracks up here in the South Hills, not this year, but last year.
You know,
I told you about that.
And I've cut tracks down there, but I haven't ever seen any evidence of a pack.
Yeah.
And when we get a pack down there, we'll know because cows will die.
Yeah.
Sheep will die.
Yeah.
And we'll have a pretty good idea where they're hanging out if that happens. And so, but I would not begrudge it. I mean, I would believe it. The wolves are passing through there very easily because I've got tracks down there.
Got to tell you real quick about a big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All the tires are on sale. The light truck SUV tire, the Wildcat AT2, on sale. How about the Terramax light truck and SUV tire? On sale. We want to tell you that all the tires are on sale. Now is the time to get in there and save money and get brand new tires for your vehicle. Check out all the custom wheels that are on sale. Check out the brake service. Absolutely the best in brake service. All the front end alignments, shocks and struts, batteries, it's all there for you with Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Lane and Rupert, John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Oberlin and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Yeah, good morning. Kelton, it just tickles me when you say about Sun Valley and their wolf problem. You know, when they first brought them in, that's the best thing there is in the world. Till some old lady had her dog chased. Now to get rid of them. Ain't that the way it goes?
People like what they don't have until they got it.
There you go.
Hey, tell Tanneray hi from me.
I will.
All right.
Okay.
Take care, Al. Thank you.
Bye.
Anything else regarding the fishing game? You got anything, big meetings planned or anything coming up this fall?
We actually do. Next month, we have the commission meeting set in Jerome.
Okay.
And I was going to...
You going to send me a Christmas card this year?
I am not.
I see.
November 13th and 14th.
Jerome, if you're listening, I didn't get one last year either.
Okay, November 13th and 14th, we'll be having the commission meeting here in Jerome.
Or the year before, come to think of it.
So if you're... If people want to see things changed, they want to change, you want to talk to the commissioners because they're the ones that have the final say.
Tell the commissioner to send me a Christmas card.
I'll talk to him about it. But the public hearing is at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Wednesday evening, November 13th at the Jerome Regional Office.
And the number to call for more information is 324-4359.
There you go.
And tell the commissioner to send Zeb a Christmas card.
Oh, you can do that. You can come over and testify. They never send me a Christmas card.
Yeah, they take my time, but they don't even take... McGargle, take me fishing, and we'll cancel the Christmas card.
We ought to get you out there chasing walleye. I'll have Doug take you out there.
That'd be fun. I'd enjoy that. I mean, I've said that for 7.5 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, you see,
we don't want to rush into anything with a fish and game, do we?
Well, a person has to be concerned about who they're seen with in public.
That's why I have the studio at my house, so they don't want you watching my back door.
And so, but then if you just want to set in on the meeting, you can set in through it on the 14th.
Okay.
And so stop by, see how things run.
You still got about, 30 more days of busyness with the deer and elk hunting, don't you?
No, we've got deer seasons that go clear into December.
That's right. I forgot about
over
that.
Here, 355. Yeah. And so, it's kind of weird. It actually kind of slows down for us that aren't COs this time of year, because we get during hunting season, we're trying to help, and we're working on surveys or like check stations and things, but things kind of slow down. It's probably the slowest time of year for me, actually, is during hunting season.
Really?
Because you're out in the field talking
you're
to
sleeping
hunters,
all the time.
Sleeping. On my days off, you got to remember that. Those are my days off.
Tell you what, they got to get you some Somonix or something. I don't know what it is, but you're sleeping way too much.
Yeah, my wife loves me this time of year.
Why?
Because I'm asleep. No, because I'm out hunting. I'm happy because I'm out hunting.
I got to say goodbye. When are you going to come back? Next month?
It depends on if you schedule the right day for
I'm going to get the calendar right now.
Sounds good.
Tomorrow on the program, Dr. History, we're going to have some folks back east in Washington talking about the budget that we've never got from Obama, and a lot of other great people. So stay tuned tomorrow at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch on Tuesday morning. The way things are, the way things were, the way things ought to be, right here on Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch. Have a great day. God bless. Kelton, have a good day.
Hey, thanks.
You bet.